I'd like to welcome you this Wednesday night to the next edition of More Football, Please. I'm just going to get right into it. First game is the Bold City Tigers versus War Daddy Buck U. Cameron, for you, this player is actually on your bench right now, and I think you should consider starting him because you have Nate Washington in your lineup right now, who is not going to be playing tomorrow night. So I would make sure that you switch this guy in with him, and it's Michael Floyd. The Cardinals have had one of the best aerial attacks this year, and it can definitely continue against the Detroit Lions. I think that starting him would be wise because eventually he's going to get his. He's a good player like that. So we'll see if he can get you some solid fantasy points. I know he's projected pretty high, but projections are just that, just projections. For War Daddy Buck U, Doug Martin going up against Jacksonville. If Tampa wants to beat Jacksonville, they're going to have to do it on the ground because I don't think Winston's capable of throwing to victory unless you're on the other team. Then it'll help you out that way. So many pick sixes, it's ridiculous. But Doug Martin's role is starting to increase. You can see the carries are getting higher. And with those many opportunities, eventually he's going to have great games. I think last week he got 100 for you and a touch, which is great. I can see him continuing that against Jacksonville. And for the Bold City Tigers on defense, Jonathan Joseph, he hasn't got a pick yet this year. I think that'll change, especially because he has the opportunity to go up against a third-string quarterback against the Colts if Luck and Hasselbeck don't play. I think that will help him out a lot, and he'll be able to get some solid fantasy points for you. And for War Daddy Buck U, the player is actually a guy that I've never heard of. I had to do a little bit of research on him. Still know how to say the name, Unti Unga. He looks like he's boom or bust for you. Like, he'll put up 21 week and then put up 2 the next week. He's going up against the 49ers Sunday night, and he has the opportunity to, I think, really put up some good points against that team that's not very good offensively. And it's a gamble, but I think it's a gamble worth taking. I think that he could put up some solid points for you this week. I do have the Bold City Tigers winning this game because just like the matchups a little bit better on Cameron's side. Dakota still does have a few roster changes he has to make, but Cameron's got a special thing going. His roster at first didn't look very appealing, to be honest, and week by week it's just getting more and more just better, and he's gonna keep on riding that win streak he's got going. I think he's the only 3-1 team. He's second place in the record behind Cody. So for that reason, the Bold City Tigers. The next game, the Ben Gomez's versus Taco Corp. For the Ben Gomez's, Todd Gurley. I want to see if what happened last week is actually the truth, like everyone thought he would be, like that good. I know a lot of it was off one run, but one run can just make your day in fantasy. It can get you solid 10-plus points just off one rip. So can he repeat it against Green Bay? It's going to be tough. Green Bay is liable to get up on you early and make you abandon the run, but I think if St. Louis's defense is the truth, which I believe they are, they can kind of hold Aaron Rodgers in check, maybe not let the score get too out of hand, and have a really exciting game. I'm actually excited to watch that game. For Taco Court, Roddy White, fucking Roddy, always has to say some stupid shit every year, and this year's no different. He freaked out, saying that he wasn't there just to fucking blog, that he wants to fucking make catches, doing stupid hood rat shit. And Dan Quinn supposedly is going to have a talk with him. We'll see where that takes them. Usually after he rants like this, he usually comes out and balls. So for that reason only, I would say to play him. I don't know if it's going to be completely true this time, especially with this new coach, but if the past has taught us anything, it's that Roddy will complain and then will get his. So Roddy White could be a good play for you this week. For the Ben Gomez's, Telvin Smith is up against the Buccaneers. He has a chance to have a really good week. They're going to be relying on the run a lot, I think. So he'll be there for that. But as good as he is against the run, I think Paul Posluszny is a little bit better for you guys against the run. Telvin's more of like a coverage linebacker that I've noticed, and just that even helps out even more because Winston's liable to throw a pair of picks, and Telvin can really benefit from that. For Taco Corp, this guy's on your bench right now, but I think playing him would be very interesting, to say the least. Greg Hardy, he's just such a piece of shit, just such a horrible person. I don't know why he's even allowed to play in the NFL after what he did, and he even had the nerve to tell a reporter that he's going to come out guns blazing, which, like, such a fucking punk. But he is a great player whenever he's on the field. He was like that in Carolina. I was miserable playing against them. Cowboys desperately need help, just wherever they can get it. I think Greg Hardy can bring that, extra pass rush, help them out a little bit more. It's risky, very risky, especially against New England, but they're playing 3 new guys on that line. Even though they haven't looked like they're bad, they definitely, have to go through some growing pains, and Greg Hardy can really make that happen. So I think that maybe playing him would be a good idea. Just a little dart to throw out there, maybe a hit, maybe a miss, but I think that the chances of you hitting are greater than you think. And for the winner of this game, I have the Ben Gomez's because I'm convinced that Cody has done some kind of blood sacrificial dark magic ritual to remain this lucky. Just puts up the right amount of points every week. It's just happens like that in fantasy. You can't really judge humans' actions ahead of time. So, you got to commend Cody. He drafted a very young team that I guess even he thought, according to his power rankings, that he, was not going to get that many wins this year. It was going to be kind of a growing year going into next year, and I'm sure he can't be any happier with what has gone on with his team right now. But eventually the Titan will fall. Just it's the matter of who will actually do it. And Taco Corp, you're missing your best player this week, and Adrian Peterson. So for that reason, I have the Ben Gomez as winning this game. The next game, the Abdullah Express versus Team Reno. For the Abdullah Express, Arian Foster. He looked like shit against the Falcons, but he kind of walked into a bad situation. That whole quarterback situation out there in Houston is absolutely pathetic. I think I know what they're spending their first draft pick on. Spoiler alert. But he's got a better matchup against a division rival who he's kind of accustomed to playing. So I think that he'll definitely have a better week. I guess you can't really have, that kind of bad week again. It's only up from here, but he'll get his. But your running backs right now, man, I'm feeling for you, dude. Arian Foster and Jeremy Hill just, they can turn around any week. So I wouldn't stress about it too much, bro. And for Team Reno, Colin Kaepernick, he's honestly the reason that the 49ers are losing. He can't seem to establish any kind of consistency within the offense. Teams that play against the 49ers just load in that box and dare him to throw it, basically tell the 49ers, you can try and beat us through the air, you're not going to beat us on the ground, and that's exactly what the 49ers want to avoid, but Kaepernick can't seem to do anything. Hopefully he can get out of this funk against New York, but New York, the Giants particularly, looked very, very good against Buffalo defensively, and Buffalo, I believe, has a much better offense than the 49ers, and it's in MetLife too, in New Jersey, so could be another rough outing for the old Cap. He might be seeing the bench pretty soon. I really don't know who they have behind him, but if he keeps up this play, there's no reason to keep him starting. And for the Abdullah Express, I really like your linebacker, Preston Brown. He's getting really, really good numbers. and he's got a good matchup this week against Tennessee. So hopefully he can keep that up and keep on producing those good numbers for you, especially with that rookie quarterback out there. And for Team Reno, Charles Woodson, he's going up against Peyton Manning in Denver, and if they want to have any kind of chance of winning, then they have to capitalize off the turnovers that Peyton Manning is producing out there. He's getting sacked a lot, and he's also thrown at least one pick every game this year. And Charles Woodson, being a veteran, I think knows how to play Peyton better than most. So hopefully he can go out there and get some good fantasy points for you. And I have the Abdullah Express winning this game because I just have a strong suspicion that Nico will not set his lineup. Just call it a hunch. The next game, Team Opium versus the Silent Assassins. For Team Opium, DeMarco Murray has kind of probably been the biggest fantasy dud this year. I said that last week about Justin Forsett, and then he had a great week. So who knows? I might just be jinxing him. But we'll see if he can do anything against New Orleans. This is probably the weakest team that they've gone up against this year. So maybe he's able to do something and become fantasy relevant again, like everyone thought he was going to be. For the Silent Assassins, Larry Fitzgerald, I want to see if he can continue this streak he's on. He's looking really, really good out there, getting the vast majority of the touchdowns for the Cardinals, and he's just looking really, really good out there, like retro fits. So hopefully he can continue that for you and get you some good points, because you're hurting in your receivers department with Dez and Alshon being hurt. And actually for Team Opium on defense, I really like this defensive player now, especially with the injury to Ogletree, James Laurinaitis, the old Ohio State linebacker. Each week he's getting better fantasy-wise for you, I've noticed, but especially with Ogletree out, I think that he's going to be forced to, have more of a physical role, because Ogletree is usually the more physical backer, and Laurinaitis kind of, directs the whole defense, kind of quarterbacks out there. So I think that, they're going to kind of force him to do a little bit more than what he's accustomed to, and I think that can help you out a lot in fantasy points, get you some more points. And for the Silent Assassins, Vince Wilforth, I think it's just kind of like a testament to how the Texans have been all year. They're just disappointing. Even J.J. Watt hasn't been that dominating on defense like he was last year. I'm sure he's still the number one scorer for defensive ends, but he hasn't been, that effective. And Wilforth, I'm sure, hasn't been near effective as he's been in other years for you. They have to step it up, especially if the Colts don't have Luck or Hasselbeck playing at that third-string quarterback. Then they're really going to be wanting to run the ball, and that's where Wilforth has to just get in there and plug up those holes and hopefully get you a few stuffs, get you a few tackles, and help you out. I have the Silent Assassins winning this game, just because I think that Team Opium's buys are really hurting them this week. And I think that the Silent Assassins have a few matchups that he could really exploit and get some good fantasy points out of. And for the final game, Giovanni's Rockets versus the team up north, that dirty bastard Kyle, who took Kobe Fleener from me in the waiver wire, and Kamir Aiken. And you're going to play them both. I hope they both get nothing for you. I hope you just eat your stupid waiver wire pickups. But for you, Leonard Hankerson, especially with what's happening with Roddy right now, I want to see how Hankerson responds to that. It's his first time against his old team. He had his best game last week, so hopefully he can continue. I personally am not mad at all if he drops 45 for you, because then that means that the Falcons are winning. So hopefully he can do all right for you. And for myself, Tavon Austin had a huge week last week. He doesn't really put up the stats that would, seem that he's a very good fantasy player, but he gets a lot of points because of returns, and they kind of force feed him the ball out there. And especially with Gurley playing well last week, I think that Tavon Austin is, going to have a lot less attention given to him, which will help him out. He's never put up less than 8 points, I believe, which you can't complain with. And he's going to get the start for me this week, and hopefully he can help me out. And for the team up north on defense, Geno Atkins I think is poised to have a huge week, especially against Seattle. Their offensive line looked horrible against Detroit, and I think that he's going to absolutely demolish that center three for Seattle and get multi-sacks and hopefully force a fumble for you and help you out. And for myself, Malcolm Butler for the cornerback for New England going up against Dallas. We all know what's happening with the quarterback situation out in Dallas. I expect Malcolm Butler to get a pick and just be another solid fantasy corner for me with Josh Norman's absence. And anyway, that's my podcast. See you guys next week. Good luck to everyone except for Kyle.